and welcome to Member 365 webinar on membership renewals, tips and strategies to improve your renewals. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christine Bundy and I am the Director of Customer Success. Fun fact is I love questions. So if you have any questions throughout the session today, please put them into the Q&A found at the bottom of your screen. Everybody's camera is turned off except for mine, and everyone else has been muted. So please put all questions in the Q&A. Today's session is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel for future reference. So what are we going to go over today? So we're going to go over, first we're going to look at as what happens when you don't renew by your renewal date. And then we're going to go into the configuration of renewals and go over the checklist items that are needed. And I'm going to show you where you can access that in a few minutes. And then once we go through that, we're going to show you what the user experience is for an actual member, what they go through when they get that renewal email. And then also what happens once they renew. And then we'll go through some best practices and some how to manually send some renewals. All right, so let's jump over to first up, what happens when the member does not renew by the renewal date. So the first thing that happens is you have an active membership. And right here is an example of what is the membership summary. So this is today's date. So I have an active membership until midnight last night. So as of last night, my membership would automatically toggle from active to lapsed because the renewal date has occurred. So at midnight, our nightly tasks will run and it will automatically lapse anyone that has a renewal date for the date that they have. So that it's completely automated. And so they go from active for the renewal date to being a lapsed member. Now, some associations, and industry standard is a 30-day grace period. So they go within a grace period where they're still a member, they have a lapsed status, and they can still do all the things that you need them to be able to do, and they can still renew their membership. Once that grace period is over, you have a few options. You can leave them in a lapsed status. I don't recommend it. And then you can archive. They can be archived and be an archived member, which would make them a non-member with a history of a membership. Some associations do auto archiving. So right after their grace period is over, that 30 days, or sometimes it's 60 days, but again, industry standard is the 30 days. Once that time is over, then they automatically archive them. And the system can do this automatically. Other associations like to hold off and wait like almost 300 days until their next renewal cycle. I only recommend doing this type of process, option 2, if you have annual renewals. If you have anniversary renewals, I recommend auto archiving. If you do annual renewals, the same time for everybody is at the end of the year, or if you're doing it in July and August, which is the second annual renewal cycle that we see, then I highly recommend that you can wait. And then just before your renewal cycle starts, so if you have it right now, so let's say your renewal date is August 31st. So as of June 1st, your first renewals should be starting to go out since it's 60 days in advance. And so that's when you would archive anybody that had previously lapsed. So you can do it before the next renewal cycle, or you can have it automated, completely up to you. But I don't recommend leaving a whole bunch of people in lapsed over the years, because then you can't get an accurate count of how many people didn't renew in this cycle. And you can easily go to your archive members and remarket to them to try and get them to join, or all non-members as well, because they will be treated as a non-member and you don't want them to have access to the system. All right, so that is the process, how the flow works within our system. Now let's go through the checklist. So this is the checklist that I put together over the years while talking with everybody and doing a whole lot of renewals. And so these are the items I always recommend that you do in order to ensure a successful renewal. If you want to have access to this, it's very easy. It is on our knowledge base. So you can go to our knowledge base, and at the bottom here, it's our renewal checklist. So it is on our website, And this walks you through each of the items. It even gives you links if you want more details. And at the very bottom, I will also add a printable version for you. Sorry, it's not there. I will re-add it. But it does give you links here, and each of these steps are available. So let's go through each of these steps. So the first one is just ensuring that you're going into your membership category. So going up from your admin dashboard, going to membership, and going to category setup. Now, if you do not see this, it's because you don't have admin permissions. Make sure you talk to admin manager to grant you permissions if you need them. So I'm going in here, and we're going to actually go into the individual membership, which I already have uploaded over here just so to save time with loading. It does take a few minutes for this to load. Just be aware of that if you are going in. And the first things that we're going to do is just scroll through and make sure, is our approval process still applicable? Do we need to add a renewal process? Do we need to add a notification administrator, or is that still okay to leave off? Just double kind of checking these things to help is very important. The number one mistake I get from most associations is that they have not updated their fees. And so it's really important that you, because it's normally after the annual general meeting, that you make sure you come in before those renewal notices go out and update your fees. And so you need to come in here, and this is for new members apply. This is for renewing members. Make sure it's up to date and accurate. Also make sure if any ledgers need to be adjusted, that you adjust them as well at the same time. Maybe things have changed and you want to have different ones for renewals compared to new members. Again, some accountants like to just have to be able to tally up the subtotals in their ledger account to know exactly how much you came in for new members and how much came in for renewing members. So always an option. Then make sure that your proration and anything along those lines is still up to date, and any of your payment and tax settings are still the same. Next, what you're going to do is go and check your form and just make sure there's nothing new that you guys need to add, or something that you guys have valid, like we don't use this information in any capacity, and turn it off. So just make sure that you're going through and reviewing those options. Even your membership form, you want to just review. Again, if there's things on there that you've never used in the past 2 years, maybe it's time to remove them, unless it's statistics or segmentation that you need. Update any disclaimers, and then finally into renewals. So in here, I always like to have a little description here for some associations. It helps when they get the link in the email that they're on the right membership category, and it tells them a little bit about the benefits. You don't have to do it. Not everyone does, but it is an option that is available. Then we have our grace period. So make sure your grace period is up to date. So this should say 30 days, not 2 days. And so that people have that proper grace period. Always force renewal. So if they are outside their grace period and you're not auto archiving, you want to have this on, so it forces them to renew when they try to log in. Then double check your schedule. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to add 3 more. So it's highly recommended that you create 9 reminders. Funny enough, if you think that you nag your partner and have to remind them 9 times, it's because you do. People don't do things outside their daily norm unless they're reminded continuously. So it's about 9 times. Funny enough, I tested this theory when I first joined the success team, and I was researching a whole about reminders and how frequencies and how the brain works. And I tested this theory with my partner. We both had honey to-do lists on the fridge, and we would check off how many times we would remind, and it always got to about 8 or 9. So before it actually got completed, funny enough. So if you ever feel like you're nagging your partner, that's probably why. So if you need to add more into here, it's easy. Just click the button. If you have regular reminders, click regular reminders. If you have automated recurring reminders, this only appears if you have the option enabled under fees. So you can create both. The reminder will auto populate. You can decide before or after how many days they need to appear. You can change the wording as needed. Auto tags. And the most important thing in this entire email is when I double click this, it has this option. If this is not in the email, the renewals will not work. It needs to have a protocol of other if you're hyperlinking, and the URL tag needs to be there. So again, swirly bracket, capital URL, close swirly bracket. This creates a unique link for the individual that this is being sent to for the membership they are renewing for. Now, if they have 2 memberships, they will get 2 reminders, 1 for each. So make sure we're communicating with our members if they have multiples, that they will get multiple reminders, and this is why. So make sure that you have that in there and you save it. And then just make sure if you need to move things around. Now I just realized I have 2, so I'm going to switch this over to being actually 20 days so that it's fitting. And if I need to, I can also then move it up so that I can see my schedule really nicely. I would also add in a couple in between. I would also do one on the day of, one day before. I always like to do the very last one. So whatever my last one is going to be, I always have it type of wording as like last chance or renewal coming. If you need to do updates for these, if you're doing like a mass update, maybe you have a template that is very large update with dates and things like that, you can put it in and copy the code. That's one option. The other option is going to your auto emails, changing your default email, whatever that may be, for your reminders over here, saving it. And then when you click on the button over here, it takes that default email. So some people will copy and paste the language in. Others will just delete everything and set your new reminder schedule. It's completely up to you as to which way works best. I personally like just deleting and re-adding based off of my template, but then adjusting the wording slightly if I need to, if it's a big update. If it's just reviewing to make sure everything's still good, then you're fine. If you need to, you can turn them on or off. Be careful turning these off. I've had it twice already this year where someone's like, hey, my reminder didn't go out, and they turned it on the 60th day. So the email would have gone out the night on that midnight, but because they turned it on during the day, it didn't go out. And so they were like, why didn't it go out? I turned the on switch on too late. So always make sure that you're reviewing these, have them all on when the first one goes out, because then otherwise you're having to play around. If you need to send out ones outside of the schedule, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few minutes. So this is just your like basic schedule, and then you can add additional ones if you need to around that manually. Now into advanced rules, unlimited. So this membership is unlimited. However, you can make it so that they can renew once or twice or not at all and go into a different category. So then the URL link that they get would be the next membership category that they would be applying for. So that is an option that's available. This is typically used for students, and that they are a student and then they're a first year, second year, third year, and then they're a resident. So mainly for teachers or nurses or doctors, and then they're a full member after that. So there's the different progress if you need to, or some people do it as a free 1 year. They give members a first year or 6 months or 1 month trial. And then automatically after that trial is over, they go into the full membership category. Completely how you want to manage it, but that option is available. Yes, I always want it to toggle to being a lapse status, because then you actually know who's lapsed and who's active. This one is if you want people to pay their overdue. So let's say, for example, I didn't renew for the last 2 years. Back in 2023, I didn't renew. Now we're in 2025. I want to renew, so I missed 2 years. This would make it so that they have to pay for those 2 years missed if I turned it on. Most people don't, so it's mostly no. But again, if it's something that is in your bylaws and you need to do, you can hit yes. Especially if you have accreditations that they need to be certified in, and they have to pay for those accreditations to be valid. How many days does the renewal, before the renewal date, does the renewal badge appear in the member portal? So this is in the member portal. Again, I'll show this in a minute. I always say whatever you put this date at, so 60 days, this should reflect the same, so you're consistent. So whatever the first day, if you do 90 days, it should be 90s. If you're doing 30 days, it should be 30. But whatever it is, That's how many days, so that whenever you send out the reminder, they go into the portal. It's also appearing on both fronts. Next, archiving. So do you want members that have reapplied into this membership, to their current membership is archived. So what this means is, if I want the member, if they're reapplying for the membership, are they going to be a new member? Do they have to reapply? So if I haven't renewed, I did not renew in 2023, and I want to come back in 2025. Am I a new member, or am I just renewing my membership that I missed for 2 years? It's completely up to you. If you want it to be so that they're a new member, you want this to be yes. If you want them to, no, if you want them to be a new member, yes is if they just renew their current membership of this membership category. It's up to you. Most people, because if they have a long time, would like it to be reapplied because they're rejoining, and then they have the history of the archive membership. Again, up to you and your policies and bylaws as to which setting you do. Do you want to allow them to change their first and last name during the renewal process and their organization name? I always say yes to this. It's best to have the most up-to-date information. Again, it's up to you to decide based off your policies, and you know your members best. So whether you should turn this on or off is up to you. All right. The last but not least is also making sure that all of your automated emails are up to date. So coming in, make sure if you have any dates. I know some people add packages in their welcome emails or attachments, so you might have to update those if you haven't used our standard template. So just make sure. As you're going through, make sure you always save as you go, as you're making updates. You don't want to leave your computer and come back and have your computer time out. It happens. It's happened to me. If that ever happens, right click, duplicate what you're doing. It'll have the login page for you. If you get that error message, save it, log in, go back to this one and save it, and you'll be fine. Always make sure that you have the green bar at the top for when it's saved. Other things to also check are add-ons, if you have any additional add-ons that you need to update, and then go through the process. So let's go through the user experience. So I already have over here my account with the individual membership that we just went through. I can test the welcome emails by sending myself the default. So this email is this email right here. It's the default. That's the one that is automatically appearing here. And I can send this to myself, and I will get it in an email. When I get that email, it's going to have the same link that if I press this button right here, or if I go into the member portal and impersonate, it'll have the badge link in here. So this right here, this one, if I click on it, is the same link I would get in the email. And this is the badge that I was talking about. It will auto-populate for you. And so if you click here or impersonate and do it there, you can renew someone on their behalf. Now, if someone, and this has happened a couple of times, especially for organizations, if they're like, hey, can you please just send me the invoice? No invoice is created unless you go through the renewal process. And so that's why it's important that if you are going to go, if you need to create an invoice, that you have this option. Or if somebody is not tech savvy and they call you and they need help, no problem. You can click on this link and it'll take you through that renewal process for this individual. You do not want to share this link with anyone else other than the person that it is for. So if someone's, hey, I didn't get my renewal link, you can send them this link, but this is for this person only. Also, if you're testing it out, this link you can't send to someone else, because if you do, and I've had this a couple times too, where an admin was testing and they thought that this link was the link to send to everyone. And then as everyone was renewing, they were actually updating their admin profile with the individual. So I've had that happen a couple times too. So be very careful. If you need to send something out, send this button and it will send them the actual renewal reminder for that individual. And just to show you what that looks like, hold on, it's just every 5 minutes, it goes through the cycle. I'm just pulling it up on my other computer as I sent it to my, hold on, I'm just gonna grab it from our school. So this is in the back end. So this is the email that would be received, and I would simply click this link. And again, it would go through the same process or the same as this one over here. So as you can see, they're exactly the same link at the top, same experience. They don't need to log in. It's going to simply bring them to this page, and they would go through the application, fill in any information that is missing that they need to add. I could select my add-ons. I need to fill in anything that is required, they need to fill in. So make sure if there's something that you absolutely need, that you have it set to must. CV, I'm just going to upload an image for this. For now, any disclaimers they have to re-agree to, and then they would simply pay for their membership. So then they could select what type of payment they want to do, or they could opt into automated current billing. If they have a promo code that you've given them, they can enter it and complete the process. Once this is done, they no longer receive renewal reminders. So if they do it on the first go, that's it, renewal reminders stop. If they don't, if they get to this point but don't complete it, they will continue to get reminders until the payment process is completed. So whether that's saying that it's a check or whether it's credit card or e-transfer. The other thing that I always like to mention, and I've had this a couple times where people is like, I have a member, but they don't want to renew and they don't want to get reminders anymore, but they just want to live out their term. You can come down to shared tags and you can add the tag. Sorry, as I move myself. Review. Under review. This tag will prevent renewal reminders from going out to individuals that want to cancel but still want to have their membership for the remainder of the year. Then again, if you have auto archive on, it will automatically be archived after the grace period, but they won't receive renewal reminders. That's what that one is for, and that's why it's a default in the system. All right, now if I needed to send reminders out outside of the schedule that we already have, I can come up to membership and I can go to renewal reminders. And I can then send automatically based off of a specific membership category for a specific date. You have to have both of these filled out. If you don't, it will not work. So I can do for this month. The individuals will automatically appear, and then you can send the bulk email out. And again, this is the default email. So again, if I go back into the membership category, it's this email that is found here. This is the default email for this category, which is why you can only select one category at a time, is because it's going to be specific for that membership category for the individual that it's being sent to. Again, really important, and I emphasize this because it's a mistake that commonly happens, is make sure that this URL is in the email or it will not work and renewals will not process. Then you can simply send and they will get the reminders at the time within the 5 minutes of you sending it out. All right. So there we go. We've gone over how to do your configuration, what the member experience is, how to do manual renewals outside of the schedule. So this can be sent at any time. Now let's go over some best practices. And I do see some questions and I love questions. So please type them all in and I'll get to them in just a minute. So let's go back. So first practice is review your renewal setup in advance. Always 30 days before the renewals are going out. So this is why I like having this twice a year. And I normally do it at the beginning of May. And I also do it at the beginning of September to give people lots of time to do their renewals review. And so it's really important that you go through what we just went through and test your renewal reminders, make sure they're working. If you want it to actually test it well in advance, you can either clone the membership category and just change the dates so that they all go out to you. You can manually test them. So in the membership category on the renewal tab, you can send a test to yourself. That's what this option here is. However, it doesn't fill the tags or the links. So you can just see the formatting of it. If you want to get the full experience by clicking the link, you can just set yourself quick enroll yourself into that membership category, change your renewal date to align when the first one will go out so you get them in advance, and that's how you can test them. All right. Next is set your grace period. So again, industry standard is 30 days. You don't have to do it. You can make it if you want to be really strict. Depends on your bylaws, but industry standard is 30 days to allow that. And then you can auto archive or archive before your next renewal cycle. At least 9 reminders. Again, it takes 9 times to remind something to do something outside their daily norm. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. And I am also one of those people. You gotta not. Sometimes you have to remind me if it's not within my daily norm, and it's something that I have to do, reminding me a couple of times before I get that done. If in doubt, if you're in doubt and you need help, please book a call. I love talking about renewals. I love making sure that they work for you. So just reach out to us, submit a support ticket, and either call us and I will take the call without question. We just want to make sure that you're successful because that's how we're successful. All right. We got some questions. I love questions, so let's start going through these. All right. If you copy and paste the email from one reminder to the next, if you copy the URL link and it still works, does that re-add to each email? So if you're copying and pasting from one email to another, I recommend you go to the source code to copy and paste because then it copies and pastes everything correctly. But yes, if you're copying and paste the URL code, it should work. Just test it. But again, if I'm doing that, if I'm copying and paste from one for all of these, I'd grab the source code like this. I'd go down, I'd hit copy, control C, and then I would go to the next one, go to source code, delete and paste, and then I'd have it in there exactly the same way that I had the other ones. And that way you can ensure that the links are correct. If you're copying and pasting, just be careful that you want to make sure that link is in there. Next is, do you ever plan to have to send reminders to a set date instead of the days before or after? Great question. No, we don't plan to because so many days before or after changes each year. And so you would still have to come in and update it accordingly. I hear you. I've had a couple of people ask about that. However, the majority of people, it's so many days before, so many days after, because not everyone cares if it's a weekend or not. Good question. Do you have plans to let us know what time we want the email reminders are sent? Our emails went out between, yes. So it is a nightly task. That is true. Yes, we are looking into, it is something part of, it's not a this year project, but it is a project that we will be working after QuickBooks is released for scheduling time. So they being able to come in here and schedule a specific time and also being able to see if people opened or not. Those are 2 asks that we are very much aware of and want to have on our roadmap. Thank you for the suggestion. It's not something that is in the works currently, but it's something very much on our radar. What if you renew for a member and don't want to send the invoice at the final step? Is there a way to do that? No. The system automatically sends the invoice the second the renewal is completed. So it's completely automatic, even if it's free, just to complete the process. When you use a URL tag in a hyperlink, does it matter if it's the other? Yes, it does matter. It has to have the other protocol. If you have the HTTPS, it will not work. The protocol it needs to have the protocol as other. So exactly like this. Great question. So when you hyperlink it, even if you're just hyperlinking the URL, the protocol has to be other. If it's on HTTP, it will not work. If it's on HTTPS, it will not work. Only other, exactly like I have it here in this screen. All right, next one is, I can't find the underscore share tag. How do I create this? It's already there. So automatically the underscore tag. So if I go to this individual, it's a system default. So you have to go to shared tags to find it, but it is a system default. You can't add or remove it from the system. It's automatically there. So it is a shared tag though, not a my tag. So make sure you go to shared tags to be able to find it. If you still can't find it, submit a ticket and I'll have a look at it for you. If you have it set to collect payments at the time of the renewal submission and require renewals to be approved, will the person get automatic refund if they are denied? No. So if anyone is denied and they've already paid because the payment was during the renewal or during the application, the refund is not automatic. Also, because some associations have policies where they don't issue refunds. So if you make the mistake of joining, it's an admin fee, basically. It's not automatic. You would have to go into the invoice to refund. Great question. All right. Oh, we got another one coming in. So what is the full registration button on your page? I don't see it online. This is actually an advanced setting. It's not something that is fully released yet. So you're seeing a beta option. So it's not available at the moment. So I will release more details about that when it is available, but it's just not currently. And it's only released for a couple of clients. So that's why that's there. All right. Thank you all for the amazing questions. I love questions. If you have more questions, submit a ticket. If you are just feeling like in doubt about your renewal process and want somebody to look it over, submit a ticket and request a call. I'm happy to have calls about renewals. We want to make sure you're successful. Carlos and I will take any call when it's related to renewals to make sure that you're set up correctly. So don't hesitate to reach out for us for that. Thank you all very much for joining us, all the great questions, and I will see you next time.